Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about categorical imperative. We already talked about one subject. This is the follow-up of that subject. With that, I'll let you talk to my grandson Tristan. Go ahead, Tristan.
Alright, so I know what you must be thinking right now. Tristan, didn't you already do a video about the categorical imperative? Yeah, that's true. But the thing is, we deleted the video. We decided to delete the video because after reading through, fully reading through Kant's groundwork on the metaphysic of morals, I realized that there wasn't necessarily an error in the video. What I said could have just been explained in a better fashion. So for good measure and to make sure our content is the highest quality possible, we're just going to redo the video. So going on to the topic itself of the categorical imperative, we're going to be talking about what Kant meant by a categorical imperative and what categorical imperatives mean and what they imply. So first off, we're going to start by defining what a categorical imperative is. And a categorical imperative is a law that you are required to follow in all situations. This is distinct from a hypothetical imperative, which is a law that you're forced to follow in certain situations. So for an example of a hypothetical imperative, let's just say you're going to a restaurant, right? Now, it would be a hypothetical imperative to say that if you're going to restaurant A, then you would have, let's say you're going to restaurant A, and then restaurant A is a Mexican restaurant. So you would have the choices of food. The choices of food at said restaurant would be tacos, burritos, nachos, etc., etc. And if you went to restaurant A, you would be forced to pick from these options, and it would be a law that you have to pick from these options if you're going to restaurant A. However, this is a hypothetical imperative because you don't really have to follow this law in the sense that you don't really have to go to restaurant A. You could choose pretty much any other restaurant. Whereas a categorical imperative, which would be like a law that you're forced to follow in all situations. So let's say in a hypothetical universe, you're forced to go to restaurant A and choose from these choices, and it's the only place you can go. So choosing from those food options would be a categorical imperative because you're forced to follow it in all situations. Now, Kant applies the concept of the categorical imperative to morality, and he says that the concept of morality and choosing what to do with morality is a categorical imperative because in pretty much every action you do, you are forced to consider morality in some way, whether you choose to do a moral action, an immoral action, or not consider morality in your actions at all. You're forced to consider morality in some way, whether you follow it or not. And Kant, he outlined one main core principle that defines morality and what is moral. And essentially that principle can be explained best by using Kant's own words and then breaking them down and explaining what they mean. So essentially, Kant said, act only according to that maxim which you will it become a universal law. Now, I know that's kind of wordy and hard to understand, so I'll break it down. So, a universal law would be a law that is universally followed in all circumstances, and a maxim would be an action, right? So basically what Kant is saying, he's saying perform an action only if you would want it to become universally followed in all circumstances that are exactly like yours. So let's say you're breaking into a house. Before you break into this house and you want to decide if breaking into this house is moral, you got to ask yourself the question, would I want someone to break into this house in the same situation as me? Would I want everyone else in the world to break into this house that's in the same situation that I am? And you have to universalize a law. And the thing is, in Kant's view, if you can't universalize this law, then a contradiction emerges. And if that contradiction emerges and you say, well, no, I don't want to universalize this law, then Kant kind of asks the question, well, how is it right for you to do it then if you don't want everybody else to do it? If you don't want to universalize the law, in other words, if you don't want to have everybody else do it that's in the same situation as you, if you don't want to universalize that law, then what makes it right for you to do it? So I want to talk more about this in this contradiction because the contradiction arises as a contradiction between duty and a universalization of laws. Now, essentially, what a duty would refer to in Kant's view, a duty would refer to a law you must respect when dealing with others, pretty much, when considering others as a end and not a means to an end. So if you're considering someone as purely an end and not a means to an end, then you must respect this duty, which is a law. Now, we already summed up what duty meant in the second part of our series on Kantian ethics and Kantianism in general, so go watch that video if you don't know what the prime duty that Kant outlined is. So essentially, in Kant's view, if a contradiction arises between duty and the universalization of a law, if that contradiction arises, then what you're doing is immoral. And if the contradiction, if the contradiction arises between you universalizing a law and then saying you're trying to universalize a law and failing to do so, and then still saying that I should be able to do it, there's a contradiction in that, and saying that what makes it right for you to do it then, if you don't want the law to be universalized and everyone else in your situation to be doing it. So that would essentially wrap up the subject.
Thank you for watching.